like to call to order the meeting of Monday, September the 25th, and if you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If the clerk would please take the roll.
Councilmember Archibald.
Here.
Councilmember Ashford.
Present.
Councilmember Huron.
Here.
Councilmember Lamb.
Here.
Councilmember Mosherak.
Here.
Councilmember Pemberton. Mayor Rep.
Here. You have the minutes from the regular meeting of September the 11th. Is there a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Councilmember Lamb, supported by Councilmember Mosherak. Is there any additions or deletions to the minutes? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The minutes will stand as submitted. We now are to public comment. If there's anyone in the audience who wishes to address the City Council, please come forward, give us your name and where you live, and you have 4 minutes.
Julian Ruck, 1423 Lapeer, Polly's Place. Folks, I got some great news, and I mean this sincerely. I was born in this town. I know this town very well. As a kid who grew up in poverty, as a homeless teenager, as someone who hitchhiked away just to get away and stayed away. And last Wednesday evening through Thursday evening, after what I believe is 60 years of struggle, Port Huron actually began to turn things around. One particular day. And I'd like to express here why I'm so excited and the multiple reasons I believe that's true. First of which is the creation of the role for Deputy City Manager. Super smart. The smartest thing I've seen you guys do, by far. And that's not to belittle anything else so much as to say how great a decision that was. For too long, the city has been a bottleneck at one person, and I don't believe that person has put the city's interests in front of their own. And now it's kind of a double key situation. And the other half of that appointment is who you appointed. Literally my favorite public official in town. And I'm not just saying that to, brown nose. I think you guys know I don't do that. But Nancy Windsor is so easy to trust. And the older I get, the more important I've realized that is. You can try to trust people, but some people make it very easy. And I don't think she'd know any more put herself before the city's interests than show up late to work all week. So, congratulations, Nancy. So that's the bulk of the turnaround, because there's a blockage of communication with a poor interpreter that now there's a channel through, and that is huge. Next, I don't know if you know, I'm going to try to get to this quick. Last Thursday night, St. Clair County Board of Commissioners, Lisa Beeden put forth an idea to put nearly $10,000 towards Blue Water Allies, and a new nonprofit that helps the gay and queer community in the area. And about 100 people showed up to show support for her doing that. And it was a very powerful and moving evening, and it was passed 4-3, and I have it on good authority that 2 people changed their vote to yes because the community showed out. So in my mind, a lot of the homophobia and bigotry that I've seen in this community for the past 30-40 years is just edged its way into a more diverse and accepting community, and that is huge. Furthermore, and it's about Polly's Place, I went to a blight hearing Thursday morning expecting to be told when we'd be on the chopping block. We were not given our zoning board of appeals approval, largely because, and it was stated as such, people came out to complain about me. And then the blight department actually, instead of telling me what day we'd be bulldozed, said, upon further consideration, we'd like to give you a generous amount of time to appeal to the circuit court, and then keep moving along and beautifying the space. So those things mean I'm pretty much gone from this community now. I always hang out for the hard work, put people in charge, and move on. I have 3 other communities to get to, and I'm looking forward to moving on. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening?
Hi, my name is Heather Hughes, and I actually live in Birchville, but I have worked in Port Huron, and I'm just here to speak on behalf of Julian and Polly's Place. The gardens are absolutely beautiful, and providing food for people, especially in this economy where food prices and everything are just outrageous, it's a much-needed thing, I think, and I think communities all over Michigan should have these food gardens. Food, flowers, it beautifies the community, it helps the community. There's so many people struggling in today's world. We're here to help each other. That's what we're put on this earth for, to lend a helping hand to one another. So I just want to speak out in support of that and just encourage it more across Michigan.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening?
Holden Gothier, 11th Avenue. I'm also here to speak in support of Polly's Place, and I really didn't play much of a good role in the zoning board meeting where there was kind of a setback there, and disappointed myself with that, especially when I had been helping Julian with a few things, and I started to see just organically people starting to come around, and I just felt really sad that we started feeling like there was some kind of foothold there, and people were just organically making their way there, and it's almost like you just want to be like, well, don't get your hopes up, it won't be around, and I was just kind of saddened by that. And on a second note, dead horse sort of thing, I just would encourage you guys to keep being transparent through the YouTube, as you had mentioned, Mr. Freed, and I had mentioned months ago in a meeting where I had said, and transparency is kind of all or nothing. I don't know exactly what you could be liable for unless there was something done wrong on May 23rd of 2022 by the city. Not exactly sure tort liability laws and all of those things, but I would only expect you to be liable for something if something was wrong on the city's end. So in my eyes, transparency is an all or nothing type deal, so it just would be good to actually see it in action.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the city council this evening?
Kathleen McCready, 414 14th Street. I just feel it's prudent to say once again, we are not detractors, we are not haters. We are not against gardens, we are against the permanent structures that could be dangerous to children, to the invitation of anybody walking through the garden at any time with no insurance, no liability, no proof that he's a nonprofit. We feel that it is a risk to the neighborhood, and it's not like we've never had any serious accidents in the neighborhood. We have. And if something can be prevented, we would like to see that happen and have a safe and prosperous community and a garden that's safe for people to walk through. And the other point we've been trying to make is it's a vacant lot. It should be a vacant lot. He wants to grow a garden for himself. We have no issues with the garden. And we are Harrison Point neighborhood, not Harrison Point Initiative that carries some issues with that name, which the Facebook page is now closed, so it's a private entity. So, just wanted to let you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening?
Connor Bonin, 911 9th Street. I'm with Julian Luck for the past almost 5 years. Next year is 5 years. I've been growing food and helping him for 5 years, and it's ridiculous why you're trying to push him to get out of there. It hurts my feelings. Like, I like eating fruits and veggies and drinking water. He doesn't produce something that comes out of a box. He produces something that comes from the nature. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the city council this evening? Seeing no one else, declare public comment closed. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. Items on the consent agenda, received and filed notification from the Michigan Liquor Control Commission that an application has been received from Booze Lanes LLC to transfer ownership of a 2023 Class C and SDM license located at 522 Quay Street. Authorized submission of the Urban and Community Forestry Program grant in the amount of $20,000 to the Department of Natural Resources for the purpose of providing training for the removal of dangerous and diseased trees, the replanting of trees along the public right-of-ways, and to provide educational materials to property owners regarding care and maintenance of the newly planted trees. Confirming the mayor's appointment of Karen Polka to the Downtown Development Authority for a term to expire February 9th, 2024, and confirming the mayor's reappointment of Robert Funk and Timothy Ward to the Tax Increment Finance Authority with terms to expire September 14th, 2026. And we will move to from the city manager, number 1.
Accepting the bid from Motor City Electric Technologies in the amount of $220,299 for the solids handling control panel replacement and upgrades at the wastewater treatment plant.
Is there a motion?
So move. Support.
Councilmember Ashford, supported by Councilmember Lamb.
Madam Mayor and Council, this is for the replacement of control panel 1, 5, and 9. They're more than 20 years old. They're having issues. They're not industry supported, so if they do go down, it will be a detrimental impact to the plant. This was a budgeted item at $310,000, and so we came in at $220,299. We received 3 competitive bids, so under budget and was planned for.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Freed?
Yes, Mayor Rep.
Yes, Councilmember.
Yeah, it is good that was budgeted and is under budget. It's always a positive note right there. How many panels are there?
I'll have Eric ask it. In the entire plant?
Just how many are there? I mean, we're doing 3 out of how many? So that means anticipation of how many more. If they're this old, and we
You
still
have to take
got
your socks
to
off
go.
for this one, Eric. Okay.
Yeah, take your socks off.
So was the question, how many panels are there?
Yeah, how many are there?
So this, previously council's authorized, I think, 3 previous upgrades. I think at one time there was 11 and we're down to like 9 right now.
Oh, okay.
So this is the last 3. We'll complete all the control panel upgrades, so.
And that's good. I just wanted to get clear so we don't have any more that we have to attend to, because we already did those.
Right, we've been doing it in phases as we can afford, so.
Oh, okay.
We took the priority ones first, and then this is the last round.
Okay, good. Thanks, Eric.
You're welcome.
Madam Mayor and Council, and also the last page, because this is a facility owned with our township partners, that we will be cost sharing with the 3 townships.
And I'd like to commend you on that too. Excuse me, Madam Mayor, because when you had that meeting with both of the townships, how everything is escalating as far as prices. So they did up their price average. Can you just give us an overview of what you did?
Yep, we just meet with them on any shared project we have. For instance, I think you referenced the canal with cost going up. We also don't want to blindside our township partners. We want to make sure that our capital plan is well out in front of them, so when they would do their budgeting, they know what to expect in the near years and in the out years, and so just that constant line of communication.
Right. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Mira.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Moving to resolutions, number 1, please.
Approving the contract with the Michigan Department of Transportation for the reconstruction of Holland Avenue from Pine Grove Avenue to Gratiot Avenue.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Mosherak.
Madam Mayor, I'm going to speak to both 19 and 20, two resolutions here. These are both, we work with the local Scots Committee, the St. Clair County Transportation Committee. This allows us to get federal funding into the pipeline, into the city, which covers 80% of the cost. So, you know, for instance, in this project, it's a $622,000 cost, but we only have to pay $124,000 of it. This includes a milling and an overlay of Holland, also addresses ADA accessibility issues on the sidewalk dump outs. So as we go back and we touch those streets, we do have to address the ADA walkability. So there'll be some concrete work for the sidewalks plus the asphalt. In our contract as well, they have to maintain traffic through that road. As you imagine, we're going to have a beach season, and that's a main thoroughway, so that we'll have traffic flowing through it.
When is this anticipated to be done?
Spring.
In the spring, both of them?
Yes. They'll get started, but they have up until, I believe, until November to finish it, but typically they'll start in the spring.
Any questions from anybody?
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember
Gene, I'm
Rogers.
just wondering, I noticed on that resolution, it said curb and gutter.
Yeah.
Also, is that just the ADA stuff? Is that what they're?
Yeah, it's select areas.
Curb and gutter looks pretty good there, but they're just gonna make the cuts.
Yep, and let me be clear, because this is an MDOT project, they will do the bidding of it. So we actually don't have the contractor lined up yet.
Right.
So they'll do the bidding this fall, and then they'll give the notice to proceed in the spring, and they'll have a certain window to get it done. But once they start, from start to completion, they have to do it within 60 days per the contract.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just point of order, so we'll be voting on both 19 and 20?
No, I
Oh, we're just,
Just-
one number
you
one, he
just
just spoke
talked
to
to it,
both of them.
okay.
Although I don't, it's,
Huh?
probably could take them both together. I don't have a problem with that if you don't have a problem with your motions.
I'm fine with that.
I don't
And
know.
then if you want to read the second item, just so that we have them both.
Approving the contract with the Michigan Department of Transportation for the reconstruction of 7th Street from Wall Street to Water Street.
Because they both are for MDOT, so. Okay, so we have both of them ahead of us, so we'll take the vote on those.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 3.
Approving the proposal with DLZ Michigan Incorporated for engineering services to design the rehabilitation of the approach spans of the 7th Street Bridge.
Is there a motion?
Support, I mean, move. Oh, I thought I heard.
No. Councilmember Ashford?
Okay, I moved
Is there a second?
Support. I thought, yeah, okay, thank you.
Tom Archibald.
Madam Mayor and Council, in April, you authorized a detailed inspection of the 7th Street Bridge. After that inspection and report, it was deemed that there was some rehabilitation that needed to be done to the superstructure and spans. So this is an engineering contract to develop that scope of work and bid docs. This contract is for $78,000. $78,141.
Was it anticipated at the time that we would have some problems?
Yeah, well, this is just, it's rehabilitation, but this is almost routine maintenance
Yeah.
in a certain way, yes.
Any questions?
I will also say that Thumb Coast TV did a really nice Modern Marvels segment on the 7th Street Bridge that if anyone wants to go out and watch, Jackie was there, she got the tour as well. It really is just
That was nice.
it was started in 1932, so this year marks its 100-year anniversary. 90, sorry, 90.
90.
And I'm the guy, and I'm the men's expert.
Okay, we will, unless anybody has any other questions, we will take the vote.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 4.
Approving the amendment to the lease agreement with the Port Huron Tennis House Corporation to amend the leased premises for authority and control of the outdoor tennis courts for recreational purposes.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Councilmember Mosher, supported by Councilmember Ashford.
Madam Mayor and Council, we had, originally the city had leased in perpetuity for 50-year lease to the tennis house, the tennis house facility, and also the outdoor tennis courts to the west of the building. Those tennis courts essentially have fallen into disrepair. We do have some issues of people staying in the woods and camping in the woods, so we really want to clean up that area, and we want to rehab those tennis courts into state-of-the-art pickleball courts. We have a DNR grant in right now that looks like it's going to score pretty high to get some funding for the pickleball courts. But what we need to do is to be able to get the grant is we need to take back control of that property, just the outdoor tennis courts. So Nancy and I and Cynthia met with the representatives from the tennis house, and we said, you know, said, well, we really want to give it up because we want to kind of use it too. I said, well, we'll be able to make it better, and they have pickleball already. So they also shared with us at the time that they have some major flooding issues within the tennis house. So when it rains, the tennis house floods, and there's some HVAC issues. So instead of doing a year-by-year payment, what we'll do is we're going to do a 10-year lease with the tennis house for a total cost of $100,000. They're in turn going to take those funds and invest them into the capital repairs of the tennis house, which is critically important because, as we all know, the tennis house sees thousands and thousands of visitors every single month. A lot of Canadians come over here to use our tennis facilities. There's a huge economic driver. Not only is it a training facility for our youth, but to bring people to the community. So it's a win-win for both of us. We get the land, we're able to develop our pickleball courts, they'll be able to address their flooding and HVAC issues.
Okay, any questions? Yes.
One
Councilmember.
question, Madam Mayor. What happens after the 10 years?
We'll probably renew the lease.
Okay.
Yeah. For a much more moderate cost.
All right.
Anything else?
No, I think it's just a good job. Like you said, it's a win-win, and I'd like to see ventures like that happen. That opportunity presents itself, and we would just happen to be there where tennis house wins and the city wins as a whole as to what that brings forth for our community. So thank you.
And I think pickleball
pickleball.
is very popular right now. I
Yeah.
couldn't get that all out, but it is very popular, so. We will take the vote.
Councilmember Mosher,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, item 5.
Approving the agreement with St. Clair County Community College to assign one police officer to serve as college resource officer on the St. Clair County Community College campuses for the 2023-24 college year.
Is there a motion?
Support. I don't know where I'm at with this support.
Do you want to make the motion?
No, I just want to support it. Let somebody else-
I'll make the motion. She can support
Make
it.
the motion. No, I meant what I said, and I said what I meant.
That's okay.
Madam Mayor and Council, we adjusted the wages in this contract to account for our current collective bargaining agreement. Chief Platzer and myself met with the leadership at SC4 a few months ago to talk about how it was going, what kind of changes that we could do for scheduling, for sporting events and whatnot. It was a very productive meeting. This is just a continuation of a really great partnership, keeping that campus secure and those students safe. And so I appreciate Chief taking the lead on meeting with the college, meeting with their security team, and continuous improvement of this agreement.
Is it basically the same agreement that we
Pretty
had
much,
before?
yeah.
Any questions? Yeah.
You'll be getting some with Port Huron Schools at your next meeting.
Right.
Yeah. How long have we had that instituted?
I would say, are we going on 3 or 4 years, 5 years? 4 years.
4 years, okay.
4 years.
Yeah, and given the times we're living in now, I think it's imperative that we maintain that support and what we're doing as far as having the police officers over there, safety-wise.
I agree. Are there any other questions, comments? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes?
Councilmember Haremza,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosher,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, item 6.
Approving the request from Blue Water Recovery and Outreach Center in the amount of $101,800.72 from the city's opioid settlement funds to support the daily operations at their center.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Councilmember
Bring some
Ashford,
life into this place, all right.
supported by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald.
Madam Mayor and Council, the City of Port Huron to date, this is the settlement for Big Pharma, right? So when they settle, the state, essentially, some states didn't take some states did, we did. We have not received that much funding. We only received about $101,000. The county is going to receive $7 million. I think they've already received about $2 million of it already. So the vast majority of these funds are going to be sent to the county, which in a part is a really good thing, because I met with the county administrator, I met with the attorney general this last week to go through their spending plan with the coordinating services body on how they're going to fund some of the recovery efforts. With that said, we still have the local program like BW Rock is, that industry didn't exist a couple years ago. That methodology didn't exist, the peer support system. We first invested in them with our, we invested a couple times with our ARP money, and we track that money very closely. There's quarterly reports that we track it to make sure the money is going exactly where it said it was going. During this time of investing with B-Rock, my confidence level in their capacity building has really risen, meaning they've been able to take the funding we've already given them, spend it appropriately, account for it appropriately. We were able to comply with federal statutes on it. So I feel very comfortable that we can fund them continuing. They only have we provide about 3 years of funding. This will be able to provide additional funding for either longer term and some of their operations. But there's nobody else doing what BW Rock does in our community. The state is working. I know I've met with Dan Lowers and Andrew Beeler, Representative Beeler. They're working on a long-term funding mechanism for agencies like B-Rock across the state. They should have that stood up in the next year to 2 years. But in the meantime, we got to fill the gap to make sure that B-Rock is able to continue helping our residents in their recovery efforts. So thank you to B-Rock for the amazing job you all do. And my recommendation is to fund this with what settlement we have money now. There will be future settlements. Walgreens is going to settle, Kroger's going to settle. We're probably going to get a little sliver of that, so I'm going to let that stack up for another year, and then we'll come back and see what you guys want to do with that next year as well. And I don't know how much is that going to be. I mean, here I thought we were going to get, $1 million, and we got 100. The county got $7 million, so
Yeah.
it's just how the formula works.
Any questions for Mr. Fraser?
I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment just to piggyback off of James' statement about BW Rock. I think what they have managed to do as far as their operations is to just really embrace our community and our city. What they were doing, they didn't sit back and say, give me, give me, give me, but they just got directly involved, and they brought a new respect to people going through that, because you're rich or poor or black or white, you don't know who's going to find themselves in that position, and they have put such a innocent credibility on their efforts and what they're doing for the people throughout the city that find themselves in that situation. It's not one day I went over there, I saw a family over there, kids, and they didn't look down on their parents. It's just a lot of love in that place of them helping each other. So I just like the footprint that you're making as far as your efforts in dealing with the recovery community. It's just like sense of belonging, and that's what people want to know. You belong. You fall into these things and you just don't know why, but you do. But here in the city of Port Huron, we have somewhere to go to get help, and you've been doing that, and you've been doing a bang-up job. So just keep doing what you're doing, and you have our support, not just me, but all of our support here as far as our city is concerned. So thank you for what you do.
Well, I can't add anything to that. You've said it all, but thank you for what you do. We will take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Harenza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rapp?
Yes, item 10.
Approving the standstill agreement with the United States Coast Guard to lease a spot in the Thomas Edison Park for the placement and operation of a range light to aid navigation in the opening of the St. Clair River into Lake Huron.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Mosherak.
Madam Mayor and Council, this is for the beacon light out in front of Edison Shores. Our agreement is going to expire in apparently someone at the federal government let it slip through the cracks. So instead of letting it expire with nothing in place, they want to do this standstill agreement where essentially everything stays the way it is, and then they'll send us a lease agreement in a few months. So this will you'll probably get it sometime in the spring, a formal lease agreement.
Yeah, that was from quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Quite a while.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
James, who maintains?
The United States Coast Guard.
If there's nothing else, we'll take the vote.
Councilmember Haremza.
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb.
Yes.
Councilmember Mosher.
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald.
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford.
Yes.
Mayor Rapp.
Yes. We have one ordinance tonight for its first reading. If you go ahead with that.
An ordinance to amend Chapter 16, Community Development of the Port Huron Code of Ordinances to create a Southside Neighborhood Improvement Authority.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support. Give it to Terry.
Okay. Sometimes you can't tell. Mosher, Councilmember Lamb.
Madam Mayor and Council, this will be the first step of forming this governing body and this tax increment financing authority on our south end. The next step after this goes into place will be accepting applications from people who want to serve on the board. And then the mayor will begin recommending appointments to the mayor and to the council for that body.
That deadline is October the 6th, next Friday. If anybody is interested in putting their application in, you can get it from the city clerk's office.
Once this board is in place, that's really when a lot of heavy lifting starts, because they have to write the development plan. What are the goals and objectives? What do they hope to achieve in the infrastructure development down there? There'll be a lot of community engagement. So for those folks in the south end of the community, we cannot make a plan unless your voice is incorporated into it. This will be driven by the people who are on the board. It will not be driven from this building. This needs to be community driven if it's going to be successful. It truly has to be community driven. So we need your voices. Please consider being a member of this board so that you can help have a say in the infrastructure development within your neighborhood.
Any questions? Any questions down this end? Well, it's just before us tonight for its first reading. It will appear again in 2 weeks. We will take the vote.
Councilmember Lamb.
Yes.
Councilmember Mosher.
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald.
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford.
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza.
Yes.
Mayor Rapp.
Yes, that concludes our regular agenda. And actually, I don't even have any announcements tonight.
I have just one thing I can share. I'd also like to have Renee Riefert stand up. This is our new Human Resources Director in the back. She loves the attention. Congratulations, Renee. She took over for Julie Davis. Of course, the renowned and fully endorsed Nancy Windsor as our now Deputy City Manager.
Mayor,
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Councilmember Ashford.
with that, I just wanted to mention, I don't want to thank publicly Terry for standing in for me as delegate over at the Blue Water Area Transit. And I know James had sent out some numbers, but hopefully you've seen our new bus shelters that are up and around the area. Currently, we have replaced 15. I know you said 13, but there's 15 shelters, and that was all through grant funding. And we have 18 still remaining, but at this point, that's kind of open-ended there because we don't have enough money. We ran out of money, and I think that's about $200-something or something that we have to get. So we're just going to keep our fingers crossed as to get the rest of those 18 shelters built, you know, with some FTA monies or something like that. That's on that count. And then, Mayor, I was wondering if we could recommend that we rejoin the National League of Cities. I know we talked about that before, but I know we are doing a lot here in the city of Port Huron. We got staffing changes, we got all this, and there was a time where the National League of Cities, we did great things. I mean, there's a lot of resources there, a lot of development there. It's not just city staff and management-wise, but it builds up the council also. So we're advocates and we go out here, we interface with our public, and so this certainly would be something for our local elected officials, us as council people. You just won't keep filling that gap like you're really not doing anything, and you don't depend wholeheartedly on just because the manager says that it goes, but you would be knowledgeable yourself, and that's what it served its purpose in the past. So I was just wondering if we can direct our city manager as the council to look into that, and we rejoin it. The national.
We wait until probably, well, it's not in this year's budget, first of all, but even if it wasn't.
So ironically, we actually had this conversation, I think, a week ago. A week ago.
Oh, really?
About a week or 2 weeks ago, we just had this conversation. The application's on my desk. I will let you all know what the cost is. Actually, I don't think it was that expensive, and I believe we can probably shoehorn it in this year's budget. So let me send you an email on that tomorrow with the cost.
Okay, well, that's good, because I was noticing your strategic plan, and they have certainly loads of resources, and the people throughout the United States and certainly throughout Michigan are using those, and they're doing the same thing we're doing, and not to have that edge of the NLC is a huge mistake if we don't get back in there and get in the game.
I agree.
Well, I think he needs to come back with a recommendation to us.
Yeah,
And then we'll
okay.
go from there.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Is there anything else to bring before the council? this evening?
I'm sorry. Two things. We planted 50 trees in the city. A big concern was all the trees that fell in Pine Grove Park. And I believe 15 to 20 very mature trees were planted throughout Pine Grove Park, and then another 50 really nice trees were planted on the south side of the community. Our goal is to have 30 to 40% tree canopy cover in the city. Right now, as a whole, we have about 10% if you go by SEMCOG's numbers. So this is part of that strategy of 100 trees a year. So if you drive by Pine Grove Park, you'll see some beautiful trees.
They're doing a good night's job in there, taking away the old stumps and that too.
Yeah, and a shout out to the forestry department. I think Nancy is in charge of that, yeah. Well, good.
If there's nothing else, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.